Let's give it one more shot to give us a real adventure. Come on, Garmin. Give me an adventure, for Christ's sake. Give me some wacky roads, some side roads. Time is of no issue to me. I'm on a motorcycle. And still. Hey, Downstater here. So today I'm going to break into the new Garmin ZUMO XT. There's no doubt Garmin kind of owns the GPS market. And while they've had their hiccups over the years and maybe ruffled my feathers a bit once or twice, I'd like to give this thing a truly fair shake. Like many of you, I've got kind of a love-hate relationship with Garmin. I've used their products in almost every sector of transportation that I am engaged in. You know, aviation, motorcycles, cars, boats, everything that I've owned or operated, I've used Garmin products. And to be honest, most have been good, but there has been a lot to be desired over the years, and we'll get into that. All right, so let's go ahead and just get into this thing. If you came here for a fancy, you know, romantically lit unboxing, I'm sorry to disappoint. We're just gonna get right to it. Now, the only thing I will be honest, I have gone in here already and made sure it was charged. I've had units come that weren't charged, so it isn't a totally virgin unboxing, sorry. Anyway, so this is the unit itself. I've briefly looked at it. Made in Taiwan, which is good. That's a great thing. It's not made in China, although let's be honest, iPhones are made in China. There's plenty of good quality stuff in China, but I just like to see the fact that Garmin is going the extra step with a Taiwanese subcontractor. That's just a good sign usually. It's a good thing. Usually fit and finish is a bit better, and just, you know, it just tends to be a good sign. In the box, you get a manual. Great, whatever. Handlebar charging kit. What I love that they did here is the 1-inch RAM mount ball fitting. It's the smartest thing in the world. Why reinvent the wheel? RAM is already doing a great job. Most of us already have RAM mounts already. There you go. So you get it looks like be like a handlebar kit. Charging cable for like a wall puck charger, and a small arm for the, you know, the RAM mounts. It looks to be like it's their own. I don't think RAM actually makes this. It looks different than all my RAM stuff. Great, no problem. The unit itself, so this actually also, this is the other thing I did do off camera. It comes in a couple pieces. The cord you have to put in with a little tiny screw, almost like a sunglass screw. Set that, and then you have to put the RAM mount on the actual puck charger. Not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. It's just something to keep in mind. It just takes 2 more minutes. If you're in a rush, it might take you a minute. But overall, really nice quality. And this is something you would expect with Garmin. You know, at this price point, these parts better be good, because this is where all the abuse and use is coming from. All right, so just to give you another overview of what we have here, this is the unit itself. Here is the puck charger, the actual proprietary mount and everything. Looks pretty good. It's nice quality. I like it. You know, no big issue there. Rain cover, there's a transformer. It steps it down from, you know, your typical 13 volt down to 5 volt, which is normal. Good to go. Charge cord, good to go. Small arm, fantastic. And here is your, you know, your handlebar mount. So again, good quality stuff. Looks to be actually a RAM mount, but I don't know. It doesn't say RAM anywhere on it, so who knows, who cares. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see how she looks. All right, so we're looking at, I'm keeping track of the boot time right now, just so you guys know. It's looking like about a 10-second boot time. That's surprising, to be honest with you. I would have thought it would have been a bit shorter than that, but anyway. Yeah, except all, whatever. Take my data, I don't care. All right, so here's the unit. Just firing it up for the first time, checking it out. Looks pretty good. I like it. It's definitely going to be glove ready and glove proof, so that's wonderful. All right, so this is a kind of worst case scenario. This is a Climb Inversion Pro. This is a cold weather glove. This is the one I use for cold weather. And the screen is still wet, so that's great. It gives you a little bit of an extra, you know, struggle here. So let's just see how we can actually search. Let's go See this, I can't stand this split screen, but it's good. This thing is doing a really great job of being reactive, which is great. I love to see this. Okay, cool. So I've seen enough. All right, so let's go ahead and give this thing a test and see how it does. Yep, not good. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. So this unit does respond to water just like a smartphone does, and that is a huge problem in my opinion. It gives you issues there, and with a smartphone you can lock the screen. So far I have not seen a way to lock a screen on this device. It's giving me essentially nothing, and actually the water is making it so I can't even press buttons right now. That's unfortunate too. Yeah, I see no way right now to lock the screen. That is unfortunate. That is something I really don't like, and I think is a huge negative for this device. If you're in the rain, best of luck to you on this device. If you want to leave a comment, if I'm missing something here, feel free. All right, so I'm not going to bore you with me turning a wrench 100 times to mount a RAM mount. If you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of good videos. Basically, I used an old RAM mount I already had for this smaller half-inch bar back here. I didn't want it on my handlebars. There's really not a good place, and I already have a lot going on, and I just don't want to be looking that far down. I'd rather have it here. So I went ahead and mounted it about where I wanted it, and all I have to do now is wire it, and I will show you basically what it will look like mounted. So there you go. Pretty solid. You know, I don't love that mount, but it's not horrible either. Nope. Garmin, I'm not doing that. Making it clear to you, buddy. So this is a situation, again, where I know where the roads are, the good roads. I know where the more scenic roads are. I know where the lower population densities are. All that stuff is known. This is not a question for me. So let's see what this thing does now. All right, it looks like it might actually be letting me go all the way up PA. So this is the third time I've ignored it. Let's zoom out one more time. Nope, it's not. It's bringing me back into Jersey. Oh man, this thing loves New Jersey. I mean, hey, okay. Man, that's annoying. But you know what? It's not horrible. I mean, at the end of the day, you can just keep ignoring it and go the way that you think you want to go, and you'll eventually get somewhere cool. You know, I mean, I've been doing that for years with other mapping software. You just ignore it, let it reroute, and go the way you want to go that you know is about the way you want to go. And yeah, you'll be fine. It's just it's unfortunate though that this thing doesn't really have that kind of native algorithmic ability to just pick better roads. That's really what I thought it was going to be able to do when I saw that kind of adventurous riding dial Jimmy Jam. I thought that was really like a super like beautifully done algorithm that took a bunch of data from all over the country and knew the better roads around here. But it's not. It's clearly not. And it's okay. You know, hey. All right, so I'm back, and so far I really like the unit. It's quite good, I have to say. They've done a pretty good job, but there are still some qualms that I have. There's no doubt. I can't sit here and lie about it. And some of the original stuff that I hit on is still ringing true, even after some time in the saddle. So what I'm going to do is hit on the pros and cons of the unit, and kind of tell you what I feel about it as a whole, and also, you know, what I think they should do moving forward. So let's start with the cons, and then we'll end with the pros, hopefully end on a good note. But let's be honest too, right? So to start off, I was going to mention the fact that they are still using mini USB as a charge port on this thing, which is just odd. I'm not sure what the thought process is behind that. That's about 3 generations behind. The next one I was going to hit on is the proprietary pin charging mount. There have been reports already of pins falling out and it basically not being the most robust thing in the world. And I get that. I see that, and I can appreciate that for sure. And for something like this where you could potentially be in the middle of nowhere, I don't like the, I would call it durability, you know, success rating that probably would have. So the last thing about the mount that I'll mention is that it has basically a push button on the back to dismount and mount it. I'll hit on some positive notes on that later, but negatively, I was riding one time and I tried to angle it down just a bit. It was too high, and I ended up touching that button, and it actually came out of my hand while I was riding, and I almost dropped the damn thing. It was not a good experience. I didn't like that one bit, and it got me kind of wary about even just touching the unit, because it really is being held on by just a couple millimeters of plastic in that spring clip. So I would call that a negative. I don't think it's a very redundant mount, and I don't love it, to be honest with you. I would almost rather it be something where you had to go behind there and like do a 2-finger squeeze to get it off. I think that would be a better thing to see, especially for something this expensive. I don't like that, although I'll hit why I do like it later on. But that was not a good experience. So the next con really does bother me, and it's the dust and water rating for this unit. This unit is rated at an IPX7. That X in the middle there actually stands for nothing because they never got this thing rated for dust. And it drives me crazy. Why? And here's where I'm also speculating. Did they know it was going to fail? Did they just not bother getting it rated for dust? Why? Garmin, tell me, on a $500 motorcycle navigation unit, why are we not bothering to get it dust rated? And the 7 rating is fine, it's good, but it's also not the best. I mean, there are cell phones that are rated higher for dust and water than this unit. So again, this leads me down a path of why? What are we paying this amount of money for if they're not even rated as high as a, you know, a $200 or $300 cell phone? I don't get it, and it's definitely, it bothers me a bit, especially that dust part. The fact that it's not even rated for dust. Again, I can't say for sure one way or the other, but it leads me down a path that gives me a little bit of anxiety in terms of the longevity of this unit. So the proprietary mapping software inside is pretty good. I actually really like it. It's responsive. It's quite nice. I like I mentioned earlier in the video, the ability to kind of route more adventurous, less adventurous. I played with it a fair amount, and it does work pretty well. It keeps you on the more twisty roads, and that's great. Fun stuff. I enjoy it. But I will also say that there were issues plenty of times with things like points of interest. You know, this unit is not, it's not web enabled. I mean, yeah, it's paired to the cell phone, but if your cell phone's away or not paired or whatever the case may be, and you're looking for a point of interest, many times it wouldn't even come up. For instance, I was looking for a local power sports store around here. It's a motorcycle shop not far away, and it wasn't even in the database in the Garmin. It was so ironic, it kind of made me chuckle. It's like, well, there you go. You know, and at the end of the day, it's hard to beat a simple cell phone, really, for things like points of interest, you know, POI mapping and searching and all that. It's because, again, you're connected to the internet, and Google owns all that data, and they put it together nicely and integrate it well into their map system. So that's one thing that bothered me. Otherwise, though, I don't want to rag on the software too bad. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it, actually. So next thing I'll hit on is battery life. Although we're always going to be charging this thing, there is a situation where maybe, like I said, the pins might fail, whatever the case may be, and you need the thing to last to actually get you somewhere. And the most battery life I got was about an hour. This thing's rated for about 3 hours. So again, it's every device manufacturer does this. It's pretty common, unfortunately, but it's just annoying to see it. I love when manufacturers underrate stuff rather than overrate. It bothers me a little bit. Maybe that's just me, but it should be rated at 1 hour, not at 3. So let's go over the pros. First, I'll start with the actual unit itself in terms of responsiveness and performance. It's quite good. It responds quickly. The finger presses are all nice and accurate. The processing seems fast. It populates maps quickly. Everything in that regard I like. It was good in that regard, and it just seems like they definitely optimized the hardware for what their end user is going to do with it, which is important, right? There's not a bunch of bloatware on there slowing things down, so that's great. So as I said earlier, I do also love the fact that they have adopted the standard RAM mounts. That's just so smart. It's so good to see. Just good known technology being adopted by a big company. That partnership, I don't know if they're even partnered, but the fact that they did put it into their product, good on you, Garmin. That was such a smart move. I wish more companies would do that. RAM, unfortunately, has cornered that market and done such a great job. I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, they've done a great job, and we should just all just accept it and use it. It's a good product, so good to see that. The next thing I'll hit on are the cords on this unit, and just the fit and finish in general, quite good. The integration for the inReach satellite system is also a great thing. Granted, they're both the same company, so you would expect that, but it's just nice to see. And although you can also pair the inReach obviously with your cell phone, it's just it's a good integration and it works well. And that's just a solid thing that they did. And I mean, you kind of expect it. It's their product, but yeah, just a nice thing to see in there. So the screen is a good size. It's a 5.5 inch. I love that. I personally think that's pretty much the ideal size. It's about the size of a cell phone, and it can be mounted each way, you know, vertically or horizontally. So that's great, and it really is just quite good for me, for my personal use. I've seen, you know, we've all seen folks that have like iPads on their bikes, and I'll never understand that, especially for the kind of riding I do, which is a lot of dirt roads, a lot of rocky stuff. I need to be able to see around the bike, and having a small unit is ideal for me. I don't need, you know, a computer screen in front of me for navigation. Perfect size, and the lighting on it is good. Like I said, the responsiveness is good. All that's good to go. So kudos to them on that. I definitely enjoyed that part of it. So the last thing I'll hit on is the actual mount itself. And I know earlier on I did kind of name it as a con, and in that situation it was a bad thing, but the plus side is it is quite easy to grab the thing off the dash. So when you're going to a restaurant or something, and you obviously don't want to leave this $500 piece of equipment on your bike, so I do like the fact that it is also easy to get off. So that last one is a con and a pro. It is what it is. It's bad in some ways, it's good in others, and I'll leave it at that. I think I've been pretty clear about it. So to recap, is this unit worth $500? If I'm being truly honest here, no, not to me. And that's not a knock at Garmin. I really like their software on here. If I could get their software on an Android phone of my choice, that would be a much better move in my opinion, personally. I don't see a lot of value that this product is giving me over a shockproof, waterproof, heat and cold proof cell phone, an Android cell phone with a dedicated GPS. The juice is not worth the squeeze for me personally. And again, that's not a knock on this. And if you bought one and you love it, I'm happy for you. It was not a bad unit to use. Overall, I liked it a lot actually. But when I'm doing my cost benefit analysis on this unit, it just doesn't weigh out for me personally. It just didn't hit enough high points for me to say, yeah, that's worth it. So that's kind of where I stand on that. Is it better than a smartphone? Yes, in terms of, for some, in terms of environmental, you know, proofing, you know, waterproofing, heat and cold, all that. Yes, it is built to take the environment. Although, as I mentioned earlier, not very well. But in terms of performance and specs, almost any smartphone is going to blow this thing out of the water. So I do have issues there, and that part does bother me, honestly. For the price of this thing, I just expected more, I guess, honestly. So it is what it is. So in closing, at the end of the day, what I will say is that manufacturing hardware is a tough game. It always is kind of a losing battle. It's one of those things with diminishing rewards. You know, you're always kind of banging your head against the wall against all these other competitors. It just doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're building, you know, that next best mousetrap and you're patented, or you have a situation where you require certified hardware like aviation. You're really always going to get beat out at the end of the day by smaller, more capable, cheaper devices. It's just what it is. You know, FLIR makes those thermal imaging devices. Well, they're selling a lot more of those little pucks that plug into your smartphone than they are of those big, you know, $18,000 devices. And that's just another example of smartphones kind of taking the game. It's what it is at this point, and it's something that Garmin, I think, hopefully is paying attention to. and putting in, you know, some resources toward. I'll give you one quick example of this where, you know, in the aviation industry, there is a company called ForeFlight, and they make an application for the iPad, and it is so good. It is so all-encompassing and stable and just so well done and well put together that I don't know a single pilot in the US that is not running ForeFlight. It's that good. And they charge $150 a year for it, I believe. It might be $100 now, but I think it was $150 last time I looked. So that's a perfect example of a company getting with the times. You know, they focused hard on that software and they cornered the market and killed it. That, I think, is where Garmin needs to go with this in the future. The phones are going to get better and better and better. Their device left a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Plus, it required basically a constant umbilical cord to my own smartphone. So what is the point at the end of the day? If you have a smartphone that is waterproof, weatherproof, dustproof, shockproof, can take cold and heat, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to go use an iPhone 12. That's a horrible idea. Don't navigate with that on a motorcycle. You will have problems. But there are plenty of devices out there that blow this thing out of the water for a lot cheaper. What I would love to see Garmin do is focus hard on the software. Give us a software suite that we can't say no to. I'll pay, you know, $100 for that software easily. If it's something that's just beautifully done and integrates everything I want into one package where I don't need a second device to power it or give it connectivity or whatever, you know, it's going to give me traffic, weather, Butler Maps, Locus Maps, their mapping software, Google Maps, POI, blah, blah, blah. Give me a piece of software that does it all and you will get my money, Garmin. I guarantee it. You know, like I said, look at ForeFlight for your inspiration and give us that in the motorcycle industry. I would love to see it. That's what I'll leave you with. If you've watched this far, I truly appreciate it. I do put a lot of work into these videos, and the subscribers we've been getting lately is wonderful. A lot of great comments. I do ask, if you are going to comment, just keep it civil. We're all adults here. There's no need to attack. This is my opinion. It's not the fact. It's not the gospel. So, you know, just take it easy. But feel free to chat, and I try to get back to everybody, and we'll go from there. The next video I hope you tune in for is going to be what I would consider a great replacement for this Garmin, and so definitely tune in for that one. Till the next time.